Hey, welcome everyone to the first tutorial on programming for beginners. My name is Eindhoorn, I am a game developer from the Netherlands. I made the game Spirit Sphere DX for Nintendo Switch and Steam. I'm a solo developer, which means I do all the graphics and all the sound effects and everything by myself, but most of all I'm a programmer and I'm here to teach you about programming. So you might know what programming is already, but to give you a quick explanation, a programmer is someone who writes code for the computer, and this computer takes this code and turns it into anything you want. You can make video games, you can make apps. If you're a programmer, you can pretty much make anything you want. I always say programming is the closest thing to magic, and it really is. Imagine anything inside your mind and you can create it with programming. So let's just get started. Open up your favorite browser and head over to the website processing.org, which is the program we're going to use to write all our code. You might think I want to learn C# or I want to learn Python, or don't worry about the language. Processing is, in my opinion, the best way to get started. And if you do want to change to a different language, it's easy to change later on. So let's just download Processing. In my case, the Windows version. Just save this file somewhere. Let's open it up. Let's export it somewhere. I made this little folder called Processing, but you can put it anywhere you want. Let's extract it. Alright, here it is, Processing. Let's open up the exe. And here it is, Processing. This is our home for the coming few tutorials. Let's just close this. Let's close all these distractions. So here we are. You can change the size of the window, you can make it nice and big if you want to. I'm gonna change the setup a bit so I can draw some stuff for you guys in case I need to explain anything. So here we are, I can draw some stuff on the right here, and on the left side there is some code. Here's a little smiley, but I'm mostly gonna draw some explanations. So before we get started, I wanna give you guys a little taste of the magic of programming. Let's press File, Examples, Demos, and Particles, and then hit Enter. It's gonna open up a new file with a bunch of code. And I know this looks super scary. Don't worry, you don't need to understand any of this. So hit the little run button here and it's gonna execute all this code and make a program. Move the mouse around and you gotta say, this is pretty magical, isn't it? It's not a video, it's not Photoshop, this is all made with the code you can see behind the window here. But yeah, we're gonna take it a bit easier for our first few lessons because this looks very scary. Alright, let's close this. So this is our editor for the code we are gonna write. So you can write something here. Before we start, let's just hit this play button and see what happens. It's just a tiny window. It's not very magical at all. I know I promised you guys magic, but yeah. That's because we have not written any code at all. So I'm gonna write some code. Don't worry if you guys don't understand. You can choose to write along with me, or you can just copy and paste the code from the description box. So I'm gonna write void setup, and then I'm gonna write size 640 for 80. I'm gonna press Ctrl S, which is a real programmer's habit. Let's just call this file hello_world, but you can call it whatever you want. And let's run the application again. You can see the window just became bigger. Not very exciting, but it's a start. So you might be wondering, how is this possible? With these 4 lines of code you changed our application? And yeah, that's pretty much what happens. This command size changes the size of the window. So if you type the word size and then these strange brackets, which are called parentheses in English, I believe, and then you can put in 2 numbers here, it magically changes the size of the window. I'm gonna get to that later, but yeah, that's a tiny hint of how programming works. So I'm gonna write some more code. Int size is 10, and then void draw, and then circle mouse x mouse y size. I know this is all very scary, but I'm gonna explain, don't worry. Let's hit the play button, and you can see if you move the mouse, circles start appearing. It's not magic yet, but if you ask me, it's pretty magical already. Just by writing these few lines of code, we made a little drawing application. So I'm gonna focus on this first line here. So the way code works is your computer looks at this file line by line and it executes the code. So it starts on line 1 and it keeps going down every line until it's reached the end. So let's just start at the first line. Int size is 10. What is int? What is size? Well, we know what 10 is. 10 is a number. What does this all mean? I'm gonna draw a little box for you guys. It's a box and it's called size. What's inside is 10 and the type is int. Okay, I still don't understand, you might be thinking. Let's imagine we're moving to a new house and we have to pack all our stuff. We have to pack a box of our books, and inside are 10 books. And we call this box, I don't know, what do we call this box? Let's call it Boxy, because we are really attached to this box. We call it Boxy. So we have a special little box that's for keeping books. There are 10 books inside and the box is called Boxy. The same thing goes for this line. It's a little box. It's called size. Inside there is int. Now what is int? Int is short for integer, which is just a fancy word for a number. So there's 10 inside the number 10 inside this box. So this line is called a variable and it can hold something inside. I hope that's not confusing, but just imagine you need to move somewhere and you need to bring along the number 10 somewhere. It's in this little box. This is a little box. Then if we look at this line, circle mouse x mouse y size. Hey, here is our little friend size, our little box size. What is it doing here? We first have to understand what this circle line means. This circle line is a command or a function in programming, and this function can do stuff. This line is a variable and it can hold stuff inside. This is a function. You can recognize it by these parentheses at the start and of the end. And it does something. In this case, it draws a circle. And we put inside our little box size. You can see it also has a little box called mouse X and mouse Y inside. I'm gonna explain that a different time. Let's just focus on size. So let's run the application again. I don't see the number 10 anywhere. What does size that has number 10 in size, what does it have to do with our application? The best way to find out is to just change this number. Let's change it to 100 and let's run the program again. And you can see the circle became bigger. Pretty cool, right? Just by changing a number, we changed our application. We can also make it smaller, like 1, and it will become a really small little dot. That's not cool at all. Let's make it something really big, 500. Wow, now it's even bigger. It's like a moon or like a worm or whatever you want. So we put this number 500 or 50 or 10 or 90, 99, whatever you want. We put it inside this circle function, which draws a circle. And that's how our application works right now. I know there's still a lot of confusing stuff, but I'm gonna keep it here. I want to keep it short for the first lesson. We're gonna handle all this other stuff, this void setup, void draw. What is all this stuff? This is really scary. Don't worry, I'm gonna explain it to you. The first time I started programming, I didn't understand any of these fancy words and symbols, but we will get to it and you will understand soon. And we're gonna make a lot of extra cool stuff. If you feel like you still want to experiment a bit more with the application, have a bit more fun, try changing these numbers. Try putting 10 here or 1000 or mouse X or mouse Y, or let's put mouse Y here and let's see what will happen. Let's just run it just for the fun of it. Well, that's strange. Why does that happen? I'm gonna explain all of that next time. If you liked the video, press the subscribe button, press the like button, press the bell button, just press all the buttons. And if you don't understand, or you do understand and you're really excited, leave a comment. I can answer all your questions. If you have a scary error coming up, just put it in the comments. I'm gonna help you out with that. So thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see you guys next lesson, and we're gonna do a lot of fun stuff as well.